Hi you guys, Kirkland here. I'm back to do part 3 of Tome 12, Discordance. Let's get started.
Chamber of Blood. The Red Crane. Snake in the Garden. Saku spent the day piling the decomposing bodies she had discovered in the remote mountain village. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, children, all killed in a ritualistic manner. And as night descended, she set the victims of the Black Serpent Society ablaze. The flames rose violently and shot burning red embers into the black abyss above. As the fire waved and crackled, Saku watched the flames devour flesh and tried not to think of the suffering the society had put the village through. One of their members was becoming, and the becoming ceremony was a rite of passage. The member would drink tea brewed from the purple petals of a flower they harvested from another world. And this tea either killed them or brought them a nightmare from this other world that they would have to recreate in this one. She had witnessed 3 of these nightmares before. Horrifying monuments made out of villagers who had been hunted down like game and tortured and restructured into a human offering. She didn't know what horrors these snakes had seen in the other world, but whatever they had seen could not have been more horrific and brutal than what they created in this world. Reflecting on the offerings Saku had seen in the past, she expected she would find a similar offering not too far from the village. And so, preparing for the worst, she grabbed a branch on the ground and lit a torch from the burning pyre. Carefully, she made her way into the surrounding woods. It wasn't long before Saku found a pile of clothing and a trail of gore and petals. She followed the trail to a mound of beautiful flowers growing from the hacked bodies of villagers. With a sigh, she examined the area, the flickering torchlight lighting the way. Within moments, she realized the area had been hacked and cleared so that it resembled a kind of maze. The villagers had been hunted and captured in this maze that was meant to resemble a snake's nightmare. That's what she called members of the society. Snakes. There was nothing human about them. People had warmth and empathy, and these cultists lacked both, and likely had cold blood running through their veins. And Saku knew the creator of this maze and offering might still be around, embedded in its offering to the Black Serpent, symbolically shedding its human skin. Saku turned back to the offering and held her breath as she searched the ghastly faces of the dead for signs of life. As she searched for the snake in this garden of death, she suddenly heard the crackle of undergrowth behind her. Instinctively, Saku ducked as a thick axe whirred over her head and cut through flowers and a bloated torso. Stepping back, she dropped the torch and turned to face a snake in a demon mask shrieking at her. The snake withdrew the axe and attacked wildly. With short, quick steps, Saku evaded savage blows. Then she withdrew her gleaming sword and in one fluid motion, she decapitated the snake and watched the headless torso stagger left and right as a fountain of warm blood sprayed the ground and trees. The torso collapsed and became one with the offering as the head rolled away and finally stopped at the base of a tree. Saku walked over to the head, picked it up, and removed the mask to reveal a young woman with wide, unblinking eyes. Feeling sad for this woman who had been charmed, groomed, and corrupted by the society, she carried the head to the offering where she placed it next to the torso. Gently, Saku picked up the flickering torch from the ground and set the offering on fire. The burning stack of bodies reflected bright orange in her eyes as she remembered her clan and wondered if she would ever stop the society from corrupting and destroying her beloved country.
Dawn of the Flesh Eaters 1. "Where are you taking me?" Laurie asked as she followed Ian through the woods. "Point Pleasant Peak." Ian stepped towards a chain-link fence, searching for the hole he had created a week ago, sidestepping a pile of bones and gore that had once been a coyote. "We shouldn't be here. We should turn back." "Nonsense," Ian said, finding the hole in the fence. "It's going to be just like old times." Except that it wasn't. Today would be better than old times. Today would be a special day. A day like none other. A day that would rise above all other days. Ian had been planning the hike to their special place for a little over a year, and nothing would get in his way. Not the fence, not the law, not even the creepy Genetic Research Institute that had bought up all the land. You know, they closed the trail for a reason. They closed the trail because some corrupt mayor sold public land to a corporation. Should have never happened in the first place. Ian yanked at the edge of the hole in the fence. "Let's get to the peak and snap some pictures." Laurie smiled at him, then crouched and pushed her way through the hole, saying, "What's the worst thing that can happen?" Dawn of the Flesh Eaters 2. A deep orange glow penetrated the canopy as Ian and Laurie followed an old trail up to Point Pleasant Peak. The air was fresh and cool, and every now and then Laurie stopped to snap a picture of a plant or flower or bird, while Ian checked his pocket for the little black box that contained all the hopes and dreams he had for their collective lives. He was going to do it. He was really going to do it. Laurie stopped suddenly and pointed at two hawks circling in the distance. Ian stepped up to her, observing, and she snapped pictures. An omen, he thought. A beautiful, majestic couple working together in complete harmony. They circled together in the amber sky, one clockwise, the other counterclockwise. Their graceful paths twined and intersected with wings fully spread as they searched for dinner. Then they stopped circling and swept down with wings half bent, disappearing into the woods. Laurie trained her camera at the trees, waiting for the hawks to re-emerge with dinner. But when no hawks burst from the trees after a few minutes, they continued up the trail, reminiscing about the first time they had met on the trail. He had seen her feeding squirrels to draw them closer for a picture. He remembered telling her it was bad luck to feed wildlife. She told him to mind his business, that she made her own luck. They had been together ever since. Dawn of the Flesh Eaters 3. Ian didn't understand why Laurie suddenly froze as she clambered up the trail. "What's wrong?" he asked, stepping up beside her. Laurie shook her head slowly. "I feel like we're being watched." "You're letting your imagination get the better of you. Come on, let's go." A soft chirping sound began from every direction. "I don't recognize that sound." "Just birds." "Well, that's not coming from birds." The sound suddenly faded into silence. Ian nudged her and smiled and gestured for her to continue up the trail. She did, but within moments they both stopped at the sight of two dead hawks, surrounded by feathers and warm blood. "Looks like they messed with the wrong mouse." Ian swallowed hard, trying to make light of the situation, secretly hoping he'd get another omen along the way. Laurie snapped a picture. Something's not right. What could have done that to a hawk? Ian didn't answer for a long, pensive moment. Then he forced a laugh, grabbed her hand, and led her up the trail to their special place. Dawn of the Flesh Eaters. 4. The forest was strangely quiet when Ian and Laurie came upon a cottontail in the middle of the trail. They stood before the bunny for a moment, staring into its small black eyes. Ian was pretty sure a rabbit was a good omen and was a sign that the day would turn out exactly as he had planned. 7 years good luck if you feed a helpless bunny. Laurie laughed and searched her rucksack for a carrot. Don't. Come on. The poor chub looks like it hasn't eaten in days. Ian sighed. I guess one carrot isn't the end of the world. Laurie prepared her camera as she extended the carrot to the rabbit. As she did, the strange chirping sound returned, rising louder and louder all around them. A cold tingle suddenly ran down Ian's spine. Something about the critter's eyes told him they had made a grave error in judgment, and that the day wouldn't be as perfect as he had imagined it would be. Laurie inched back from the seemingly helpless rabbit, then stumbled on her haunches as it suddenly roared with a mouth filled with needle-like teeth. The roar was a call, and soon hundreds of flesh-eating rabbits sprang out of the shadows and surrounded them. Ian didn't process much after that. He fell back and hit his head on a boulder as millions of needles punctured his skin and ripped away flesh, muscle, and bone. He heard Laurie scream, and for a moment he wished he hadn't been such a damn romantic. Then black fog filled his vision as he yelled out a question, and his stubborn hand fumbled in his pocket and pulled out a small black box.
Year 7, Day 207, Morning. Since we've arrived at the tower, James has spent most of his time going through the stories and journals left by the previous occupants. He keeps a journal of his own and is determined to write a movie about our collective experience. The other day, I looked over his shoulder to see what he was writing in his notebook. To my surprise, he had transcribed an entire conversation between the parks. I cleared my throat to secure his attention. He turned around, startled, staring at me with what I could only describe as a homicidal glare. It was as though I had interrupted the writing of the Declaration of Independence. I questioned the etiquette and morality of eavesdropping. He questioned the etiquette and morality of reading over his shoulder. He then added that anything and everything is fair game for a writer. Year 7, Day 207, Afternoon. I went up to my favorite spot on the roof of the tower, where I listened to memories recorded on vinyl records by one of the previous occupants, whose disappearance still remains a mystery. The air smelt of ammonia and wet leaves. The fog tossed and heaved and rolled endlessly towards the horizon, as laughter and arguments rose from the 9th floor. Donald, the carpenter, and a few others built a mini-putt out of all the things from other worlds for our amusement and entertainment. Year 7, Day 207, Night. Life here is an unrelenting struggle against alienation, anxiety, depression, and boredom. The mini-putt helps. The stories, too. We all take turns reading them. James takes it to another level and performs them. Before he was a writer, He was an actor who had worked on several radio serials and advertisements. With all these distractions, it's nice to forget the horrors of this world and the hard fight to maintain our sanity.
Alrighty then, that's the end of Tome 12, and that's the end of this recording. I hope you guys have a great day, and stay safe out there in the fog, everybody. This is Kirkland signing out. Bye for now.